Hey! Hi there. Welcome to my first ever build video for the Elder Scrolls Online universe. This is a Stamina Nightblade PVP build for lower level, for less than 50, no champion points, and just having fun in battlegrounds. And hopefully you will learn a thing or two. I know I have leveling up a character again from scratch. So yeah, check it out. We'll be going over skills, then gear, then some tips and tricks to get you started. If you're a beginner to Elder Scrolls, if this is your first or maybe second time around trying out the new leveling system, why not try a Nightblade, a Stamina Nightblade? And yeah, let's see how it works. Alright, let's get started by looking at the stats. I'm in champion points right now, but I don't have any food or drink buffs, so the stats will be similar to what you see here. About 15,000 magicka. Health will bump up to about 22,000 in PvP. Stamina will be about the same, 27,000, and then recoveries will be similar. 1,200 magic recovery is not too bad. I wish it was a little bit higher for cloaks and stuff. Stamina recovery is good though, 22 to about 2,400, and then your weapon damage, weapon critical are going to be pretty low, and that's just the way things are below level 50 and without champion points, but that's okay. Especially on the Nightblade, a lot of abilities that we have just hit pretty hard even with the low weapon damage. And it'll go up a little bit with potions that we'll talk about. Munda Stone, I would recommend the Atronach just to get the recovery up a little bit for more cloaks. That's always good. Food, Dubious Cameron Throne is going to be my favorite for this build. It's going to give the stamina recovery, max stamina and max health, and then that's why we have to run the Atronach Mundus, because that's going to give us the magicka recovery. We really need both. And then preferred race for this is going to be Wood Elf, and the reason for that is this passive increases your stamina recovery by 21%. This is so good when you don't have champion points and when you're below level 50. I don't see any other way to make it work. I mean, a good player is going to make their race work regardless, but if you're just starting out, and this is kind of a beginner's build, if you want to have an easier time, go with Wood Elf, because this recovery boost is really good. Also, the max stamina here is nice because we have less stats overall without champion points. And then the poison and disease resistance actually is cool because it makes you immune to like certain status effects, like the poisoned and diseased status. So that's nice. Alright, so let's look at the skills on our Stamina Nightblade. Front bar is dual wield, and the first skill we have is Steel Tornado. This is basically our AoE spammable attack. It does damage in a circle around you, a really big circle, 9 meters. And it also does bonus damage based on missing health. So that's really nice. You also get some additional strength on this ability from the passives in dual wield. You've got Slaughter, which kind of does extra execute scaling based on missing health. And then the Ruffian passive gives you even more bonus damage if your enemy is stunned or rooted. So those two passives really make the ability strong, in my opinion. So I use this in Battlegrounds over like the Nightblade Execute. The other nice thing about this is it is AoE, so that means it can't be dodged. In that clip at the beginning, I think I had a few roly-poly builds trying to get away from me, and that really doesn't matter because Steel Tornado can't be dodged, and it also doesn't need a target. So sometimes with big groups of enemies, it can be hard to lock on somebody and get that execute off. With this, it's really beginner friendly because you just hit that button and it's going to hit everybody around you, and again it has that extra scaling against low health targets. Ambush is next. It's the gap closer for this build. It does a decent amount of damage, but the reason that I like it is it helps us set up for other combos because you have the Empower buff that comes off of this. So 20% extra damage on your next attack after you hit him with an ambush. Just make sure that you don't go into like a light attack after an ambush. You need to hit them with something that hits hard right after to make the most use out of this. Resolving Vigor is the next ability, and this you won't have right away as a new player. It comes from the Alliance, basically the PvP skill set. It's Alliance rank 5, I believe. So you won't get it right away, but it doesn't take too long. I think with the new AP boosts that I'm getting in Battlegrounds, it took maybe like 8 to 10 matches, so maybe 3 hours at the most. While you're working on that, you can slot another heal. You could use the Funnel Health skill that the Nightblade has. Even though it's Magicka based, it'll still give you some healing over time. If you want something a little bit more offensive, you could do Twin Slashes, and there's a healing morph of this. So I think it's called Blood Craze or Bloodthirst, something like that. So you can take that in the meantime. Surprise Attack is our singles target spammable attack. You want to use this early in a fight because it does apply a resistance debuff on your target. So apply this early, and basically everything from then on is going to hit it harder. It also has this nice secondary effect where it makes an enemy off balance. And off balance we'll talk about when we look at more combos and stuff, but the fact that this does off balance is really cool, and it makes it really strong. The cost is also not too bad. Cloak morphed into Shadowy Disguise. This is basically our survivability tool. This makes Nightblades really hard to kill. Most newer players that you're fighting in Battlegrounds under level 50 don't know how to counter this. So it makes you really hard to kill, it makes you hard to pin down, and it gives you some different ways to attack opponents and just be hard to find, basically. So it's good. And then this morph I prefer because it makes the next attack a critical strike, and it also has some nice effects when paired with our healing abilities. So we'll talk about that in the combo section. The ultimate on this bar is In Cap. This is one of the best ultimates in the game. It hits really hard and it has a ton of extra effects. So stuns increases your damage against them, so basically it puts a debuff on your opponent, which all your damage against them is boosted by 20% for 6 seconds. So that makes it even easier to get a kill off on them. And then Major Defile, it makes their healing recovery go down. Their healing received and health recovery go down. So really nice ultimate. Don't be a noob and open with this ability. You want to wait till someone that's probably 50% or less health before you put this on and then finish them off. On the back bar we're using Bow, and starting with Poison Injection. This is a damage over time 10-second. The cost is really low, which is nice, and I put this on right away. It helps bring their health down, and especially when you're getting close to that kill, those extra damage over time ticks are what makes the difference. It can be applied to more than one target as well. So sometimes if I have 2 or 3 opponents getting low, I'll just put poison injection on all 3, and it'll really help me get those kills. This is the last skill in the bow tree, rank 38 I believe, so you won't have this one for quite a while. In the meantime, you could put funnel health here, just another ranged ability, because this is kind of your ranged bar to get damage on somebody from a ranged. So funnel health is good for that until you get poison injection. Lethal arrow, you get this skill right away, level 1 I think, and it's another really strong ranged ability. Does a lot of damage. It does have a cast time, so watch out for that. People know, if they're a good player, they'll know that this is coming and they'll dodge roll. So one thing you can do is cloak first and then cast it, and they won't see it coming. This also has the major defile debuff. So what's awesome about this build is both bars have a way of applying major defile. Our ultimate on the front bar, and then this ability on the back bar. Training shot is kind of the heal that I use on a lot of stam builds, especially if I'm not using two-hand. I just like having a heal on the back bar as well as the front bar. So what's great about this ability is it's a stun and a heal at the same time. It'll knock them back, give them a stun, and then you get the heal, which means you can go into cloak if you need to get away, or you can line up some burst on them. Grim Focus is a Nightblade buff, 8% more damage for 20 seconds. I just got this. I think I got it at like level 43, so it does take a long time to get to. But once you get it, it's really great. I'm going to morph this to the Stamina version, which has Stamina regen as on the buff as well. So that's going to be nice. Until you have this, you can slot another buff from Assassination, and that's Double Take. This gives you dodge chance and movement speed. So it's a really nice alternative until you get Grim Focus. But this would be preferred because of that extra damage. Siphoning Strikes morphed into Leeching Strikes is a resource recovery buff. This is really great as a beginner when you're just kind of learning how to manage your stamina. It's going to give you stamina back after 20 seconds or even when you recast it. And it's going to give you that extra healing. Every light attack gives you health back. So that's going to help a lot, especially while you're waiting to get vigor. So I would definitely use this as soon as you get it. The ultimate here is the Nightblade Ultimate Soul Tether. This is really strong. It's one of my favorite things to do on this build, is just jump in with a Soul Tether, because it has a pretty large radius, does good damage, does a stun, and heals you at the same time, so you can get a lot out of this. Alright, gear is next. So let's look at the first 5-piece, which is a crafted 5-piece. It's the Shackle Breaker set. It gives you weapon and spell damage, magicka and stamina recovery, which is ideal for the Stam Nightblade because you need both. You need stamina for your damaging skills, and you need the magicka for your survival skills, your cloak. And then the 5-piece adds magicka and stamina together, so it's a really good set below level 50 just to get your stats and your recovery up higher. It is 6-piece crafted though, 6 trait crafted, so if you're a brand new player you probably won't have access to this. You can try asking in zone chat to see if somebody can craft it for you. That would be ideal. But if you're interested in crafting or you're getting your crafting up, a nice alternative is called Innate Axiom. This is from the Clockwork City DLC, and this is only 2 traits crafted. So I did use this for a little while. It's pretty nice actually, in like the level 20 to 30 range, because what this does is it adds weapon damage to all your class abilities. So your surprise attack, your ambush, your in-cap, all of that will be buffed by innate axiom. So this is a really good alternative until you're able to get Shackle Breaker. If you did do innate axiom, the only change I would recommend is changing your Steel Tornado to the execute here Assassin's Blade, because innate axiom is not going to buff Steel Tornado, right? Because that's a weapon skill, but it would buff this. So that's the main 5-piece crafted set. And for the other set, I just wanted something that was easy to farm solo, so I went with here we go, Ranger's Gate. This comes from Grotwood, and it's a nice stamina based set because it has stamina recovery, weapon critical, maximum stamina, a second recovery bonus, and it reduces the effectiveness of snares. It makes snares basically, if it's less than a 50% snare, so let's say like biting jabs I think is like a 30% snare, it's not going to affect you because it's less than 50%. The only snares that would affect you is those that are over 50. So as a Nightblade, one of the worst things that can happen is you get snared and then you get kind of stuck, and then you get hit with AoEs and your cloak isn't as effective. This was really great on the Stam Nightblade because I can get in and out of combat much better, right? Snares really don't affect me that much with this set on. And then I also like the double recovery bonus. So this is probably my favorite new set that I've tried out. It's really good. Under level 50, and I might even try to do it for over level 50. So I've got this in jewelry because you can't craft jewelry, so you need some type of dropped set for your jewelry. And then I have just 2 pieces on the body with this. You can farm it yourself, it's not too bad. Comes from Grotwood, like I said. You can do the dolmens yourself, probably about level 30 up. Here's the dolmen that I would do a lot for this. So just make sure you have some healing abilities. Use your cloak if you get in trouble. Maybe try to find a couple people that want to farm it as well. And it's not too hard to get. It's well worth the trouble, I think, on this build. It's an awesome set. You have actually 2 extra slots here that I haven't bothered with, but you could do a 2-piece crafted set here. Something that might give you like more health, more recovery, more weapon damage on your front bar. That's always an option. If not, you can just go with basic weapons here on the front bar and then a bow on the back bar, and you should be good. So I thought, since this is a beginner build, I would just go over some tips for beginners with the Nightblade. Let's talk about the bow bar first. There are some nice passives in the bow skill line that you need to be aware of and try to make use of. So long shots gives you bonus damage at longer range. So you want to try to initiate a fight from the longest range possible. It'll give you really big lethal arrow hits. The other passive that's good is Hawkeye, and this basically ramps up your damage for each light or heavy attack that you do within 5 seconds. Okay, so you don't want to just spam lethal arrow because you won't be using the Hawkeye passive. You want to try to mix in a light or a heavy attack between your bow abilities to get as many Hawkeye stacks as you can. And then also, like I said, initiate at range. So that might look something like this. Just find a werewolf here. My lethal arrow is lit up. That means I'm in range. So I want to go, about here. If I'm opening with a lethal arrow, that's going to give me the biggest damage possible right here. So I can open with a lethal arrow and a light attack. They'll all hit at the same time, and you can see I got that buff, the Hawkeye buff, a little 1 stack. Let me stun this, into another one. So lethal arrow, light attack, and then maybe a poison injection to get things started. On a lot of targets, especially newer players, that'll take them to about half health. I'll show you again. So lethal arrow, light attack, poison injection. That's a great way to start a fight. You can see there's 2 dots ticking on my opponent from those bow skills. That'll get them pretty low health to start. On the main bar, a couple of different tricks here. Offensively is, we talked about surprise attack doing off balance. That'll happen when you're in cloak. So what you want to do to proc that off balance is cloak, surprise attack. So they're off balance, it's a 5-second debuff. And the reason why you want to do that is it makes your heavy attack hit harder. So something you can try is cloak, surprise attack, heavy attack. And you do some big damage there. You'll get them pretty low, and then you could just finish them in there. Get out. Try it again. Cloak, surprise attack, heavy attack. If they're low enough, you'll get a kill. The other combo we talked about is the ambush to in cap. So make sure you have some dots ticking. Then ambush, in cap. See, I got a 16k crit there. In PvP, you'll get less, maybe 8 to 10k, depending upon their armor. Let's talk about healing and getting away. So let's say that you're taking a lot of damage here. Remember, we can stun, roll away, cloak, and then try to go where they wouldn't expect you to go, really. Maybe behind them or in the opposite direction. The other thing with this morph of Cloak, Shadowy Disguise, is our abilities are going to crit while we're in Cloak. And that means your heals actually will crit. So here I'm getting, a base heal of about 1600. But, let me take some damage here. A great thing to do is Vigor, and then Cloak, and then all of those Vigor ticks will crit while you're in the Cloak. So I'm going to Vigor, maybe dodge roll out and Cloak, and you see my heals crit every time. Show you again. So Vigor, Cloak, crit heals, all the way out. Let's see. We'll get a little bit of ultimate here. The last combo, which is kind of a fun one, is using Soul Tether. here. Okay, so let's say this is a small group. I'm going to put poison injection on all my targets. Get going low. Let's say that they're getting low. You can even do this from a range. You're going to go in, soul tether, switch back, and then steel blade. You can get a lot of kills that way. Alright, so I think that's all the info I have for now. Hope you guys liked the video and discussion. And thanks for watching. Have a nice day. One more clip for the road, just to show how much fun this build can be. Hey, if you liked this video or maybe learned something, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Like I said, I'm a brand new content creator, and it took me forever to do this, like all day. I didn't realize how hard it was to get clips off of my Xbox. Kind of a pain. But anyways, thanks for sticking around. If I do get, let's say, 10 subscribers from this, then I'll make another video, because I really like this game. I like making builds, finding out cool stuff, sharing with other people. So yeah, enjoy the little fun clip here at the end, and maybe I'll see you again.